All right. What the fuck? Oh, welcome everybody. Hey to my noties. Yeah, thanks for noticing. 179 today. Lowest weight I've been in 11 years. Wow. Feel great. Feel great. And here comes my noti gang, which makes me feel even better. And my Knicks are playing tonight. Tonight we get to beat the Bulls, who are 4-0. We're 3-1. We really should be 4-0. We let the Orlando Magic steal one from us. But it's a lesson learned. But boy, are my Knicks playing great. And the Lakers and the Nets are collapsing. So you heard it here first. Warriors versus the Eastern Conference Warriors, aka my Knicks, who suddenly are shooting the lights out from three. Oh, what a great team. Cannot wait. Moving back to New York, in fact. I've decided I want to pay more taxes. I'm going back to New York and I'm just going to get season tickets. So you heard it here first. My wife doesn't know. She's not going to let me, but you all know. It's my dream. I literally watching the Knicks games. I'm just like, I got to move back to New York. We're going to do a quick one today, folks. I'm going to talk about Meta, Zuckerberg's big announcement. I don't know if you saw it, but I'll fill you in on everything. And Patrick, welcome once again. First noti, Harrison, number 2, Frank, number 3, Amar, number 4, Joe, number 5 noti. Famous Toby Barber, Ermal, and Surge Dog, you are up to 10. And then everybody else, welcome, my noties. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So strap in, everybody. We're going to get meta today. Let me pull up my notes. And anybody have thoughts on the last couple of episodes of This Week in Startups? Anybody have notes for me? Anything you liked? Anything you thought was compelling? A guest, a news story, a feature? And are we doing OK Boomer on Friday, Rachel? Do we do our first OK Boomer tomorrow, or is that
I
going to
have
be next week?
the notes are ready, so if we have time tomorrow, we can definitely do it.
Well, it's supposed to come out on Friday, so I don't think it's
Yes.
coming out Friday. But what story are you gonna? We can preview for the notice. What story are we doing?
I think we're
What's
still
the?
doing the one about red flags that I told them about, and we're kind of
Got it.
dissecting that
Right.
Twitter
So that
trap.
doesn't require any guests. It's just me and you talking.
Exactly, correct.
Got it. And then so for the second one, I want you to have a field report because it's kind of 1.0 in terms of
Mhm.
dynamism for you and I to talk. It's kind of 2.0 for you and I to talk with you doing a little mini interview and me talking with you before and after it. So for next
Awesome.
Friday, let's try to hit that. Producer Nick, you can make sure that happens. And then love the Twilio CEO interview. Great. Yeah. And it's one of the things about, This Week in Startups at 5 days a week. If you miss one, you got your podcast player, you go backwards, you know, you can zip through the news if you want to, if you've already felt like you got enough out of that story. And then I'm putting, like Bill Simmons does, he does news up front and then he does the interview, Preet Bharara, news up front, then an interview. Ben Shapiro does news all the time and then I'll have interviews on the weekend. So I think for this show, which you can think of as the startup show or Jason Calacanis' This Week in Startups or just Twist, now that it's 5 days a week. You can just think of this as like an archive now that's growing. Like, I listen to a Joe Rogan episode sometimes a month or 2 weeks after it happens, and just as good for me, right? So just think of that as like your DVR. Feel free to go back into those last 5, 10, 20 episodes, and you're going to find something good in there at the pace we're going. So a group Zoom meetup for Slack members would be great. Yeah. And somebody said, I think the Robinhood filing review was kind of out of place. Seemed like you had a bit of an agenda. Yeah, that's one of the. Oh, and you enjoyed the Jeremy Lair. That's a good note for me, Nima. It's very hard when I'm an angel investor in for a company for you to get objective news for me because I'm going to be inside the company for such a long time. So I think, I don't know how to mitigate that. Either I cannot report on it, which is kind of my approach with Elon because we're good friends. I just don't report on his stuff because there's plenty of other places to get reporting on it. And then anybody who hears me talk about him, or if you heard me talk about Chamath, you're going to assume incorrectly that, I'm either pumping them up or talking to them, before I talk about it on the show. So I kind of leave that alone. There's other people who are talking about Chamath SPACs everywhere. So, for some of my high profile friends, you're not going to hear me talk about Travis and his new cloud kitchens. You're not going to hear me talk about Elon. You're not going to hear me talk about Chamath and some other folks. For companies I'm directly on the cap table, I'm going to talk about it, but always be upfront about it and just tell you, hey. So I think you have to look at that one as for the noties. Would you rather? There's a question for you. Would you rather hear me not talk about Robinhood, or hear me talk about about Robinhood as an insider? Because that's really the two choices. Either I can skip it, or I can talk about it and give you my candid, biased inside, with you being able to understand that. So I'm curious what you think. Rogan versus Calacanis. Joe. I
We
was
got to
thinking
get this
Joe.
moving, Jason. We got to get this
Oh,
moving. You
all
got to
right.
go soon. Let's go.
All right, all right, all right. The 4-day work week, tough for early startups. I agree. Yeah, not sure how that one works. Okay, people like Insider. Okay, I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna keep going with Insider respectfully, and if people don't like it, yeah, there's a fast forward key. Zip, zip, zip. All right, news, and here we go. Facebook. In 3, 2. Okay, everybody. Big news today. Facebook has changed its name to Meta, and it is now an AR VR Connect company. 3, 2. Okay, Facebook announced today at their Connect conference, that's the name of their conference, that they're changing their name to Meta and that they are going all in on AR and VR, aka the metaverse. Here is 48 seconds with Mark Zuckerberg announcing the change. I'll talk to you on the other side.
I believe the metaverse is the next chapter for the internet. And it's the next chapter for our company, too. Facebook is one of the most used products in the history of the world. It is an iconic social media brand, but increasingly, it just doesn't encompass everything that we do. We just announced that we are making a fundamental change to our company. We're now looking at and reporting on our business as 2 different segments, one for our family of apps and one for our work on future platforms. And as part of this, it is time for us to adopt a new company brand to encompass everything that we do. To reflect who we are and what we hope to build, I am proud to announce that starting today, our company is now Meta.
It's almost like an SNL skit. I mean, he's so terrible on camera. I will say he's getting 10% better each time, but he's just so awkward on camera that him doing these discussions really is he's no Steve Jobs. I'll just leave it at that. But sure, he can call the company Meta. What's really important here is that the company is all in, and we talked about this in previous episodes of This Week in Startups. The company is all in on virtual reality and augmented reality. And today, you really got to see that. I think Zuckerberg shares my philosophy, and I think Tim Cook's, that virtual reality is a nice waypoint, a great stepping stone, but really the future is going to be AR. VR is oppressive. These things over your face are heavy. Not being able to see the real world sucks. It's a very niche product. All due respect to the Oculus team and people who are into VR. I believe that VR is appealing to no more than 10% of consumers, and I think AR will be appealing to 90% of consumers or more. And the overlap will be, there's 10% of people who just don't like either, mitigating their world. But AR is clearly the big win. If you want to know why, with AR, you see the real world and virtual objects are projected into it. In other words, you can turn it on and off, and you're going to be wearing very light spectacles, like the ones that Snapchat came out with, or the sort of 0.01 version of AR glasses that Zuckerberg came out with recently with Ray-Ban, which are just a direct knockoff of what Evan Spiegel did 5 years ago. Another great job of Zuckerberg stealing other people's ideas. Those glasses that just simply record, that's just a small milestone on the way there. It's obviously going to take the miniaturization of your smartphone into your glasses. Now, hold your smartphone in your hand, feel the weight of it, hold the sunglasses in your hand. Now, imagine adding even more than your smartphone in terms of batteries, or maybe not batteries, but other processing chips and lenses to project. There may be some things you strip out, of course, maybe a little bit of the battery and a lot of the screen. Point is, there's a long way to go. Probably 5 years of miniaturization, perhaps 10, for you to have sunglasses that would be chunky, that can do AR properly. If you want to understand this, if you want to understand where we are on this timeline, simply look at Microsoft's HoloLens. They're big, they're clunky, and they feel more like a VR headset, and they have to be because there's a lot of compute power in there for them to work and not give you motion sickness, because you need a very high, you need to have very high resolution screens, plus you need a massive processor and a lot of bandwidth to make this stuff work without there being jumpiness. When there's jumpiness, what happens? You hurl, you puke, you vomit, you get motion sickness, and then you take the thing off and you throw it against the wall and say, this is stupid. That's the main issue with all these products, is the size of the headset and the compute that's necessary. As compute costs go down and get miniaturized in the process and become lighter, then the headsets get lighter, and then this issue goes away. So if you want to lower people's motion sickness and make it feel higher fidelity, you just put more processing power in. What happens when you put more processing power in? You need more energy. What happens when you need more energy? More batteries, or you need to tether it to something. And when you tether these things, it sucks. Like the early Oculus were amazingly inspiring, but people were tripping over their computers and on the cables. So just aesthetically looking at this conference, I would say this is Zuck's best performance, and it's also the most scary. In no way is it in society's best interest to let Zuck own the metaverse or to make him a player in it. In fact, I think anybody who is in this space needs to fight Zuckerberg and Facebook from winning the metaverse. And you can see already he's co-opting it. He's using the term meta. He's stealing the term from the open source community and from science fiction before that and trying to make it his own. And this entire conference was a list of other people's innovations being taken credit being credited for those by the Facebook team. Truly disgusting and absolutely abhorrent. But that's what Zuck has always been. He's an absolute expert in stealing other people's ideas and then scaling them. And when you don't have to come up with the original ideas, if all you do is steal them, well, then you get to spend all your time executing and on growth. It's one of the great secrets of Zuckerberg's success. Don't come up with original ideas. Let other people do that hard work in the laboratory and do that creativity. Just steal them the second they're ready to go into the wider populace, and just spend your time on growth. It is essential for humanity and for our industry to stop Zuck and to boycott Meta. We'll get into that some more. The performance was Zuck's best. I give him credit for that. The production value was their best. He's not charismatic. He's stiff, but he kind of added a bunch of jokes, and corny jokes at that, to kind of make fun of himself in relation to, he's kind of self-aware that he's terrible on camera and he wears too much sunscreen. So here are two of the cornier jokes in this 12-second clip. Stick with us. I'll be there on the other side.
Boz, is that you?
Of course it's me. You know I had to be the robot, man.
I thought I was supposed to be the robot.
You want to go again?
Maybe later. I'm going to need a lot more sunscreen now.
Zuck knows he's a meme. He knows when he had all that sunscreen on, people were like, it's ridiculous. He knows he's a robot, or he comes across as robotic. So the self-deprecating thing is, it's great. Credit to him for doing that. There was a little Easter egg of barbecue sauce on there. So somebody internally in comms is doing a fantastic job of trying to humanize him. Somebody has the absolutely a thankless job of trying to make him a better presenter. And congratulations, he has reached the level of bad. He was horrible. It was uncomfortable. It was difficult to watch him. And now Zuckerberg is just bad at presenting. I think he might actually in another 10 years just be absolutely okay and passable as a presenter. I don't mean to be cruel, but since he's making fun of himself, I thought it was a good line. I thought I was supposed to be the robot. Good, well played. So they talked about their VR battle royale shooter, Population 1, which is a Fortnite ripoff. This is what Zuck does. He steals everybody else's ideas, and he even mentions Epic Games right before it. Here's a 20-second clip. I'll see you on the other side.
And major platforms like Epic are working to build out the metaverse, starting with gaming.
Have you played Population 1?
I mean, yeah, I love the game so much that...
For those who haven't, Population 1 is a thrilling battle royale that is only possible in VR. Since its launch at Connect last year, it has become one of the highest earning games on Quest and the biggest multiplayer FPS on the platform. You can have up to 24 people in at once for a match.
Okay, So here he is stealing Fortnite. This is one of the many moments in which he will steal other people's ideas and kind of take credit for them. And then he also talked about, hey, he wants to bring one of the greatest games ever, Grand Theft Auto, or he is bringing Grand Theft Auto there. So you'll be able to mass murder civilians in the most immersive way possible. Wow, sounds like a great version of society. 31 seconds. See you on the other side.
There's one project that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, this is one of the all-time greats, and we've been working for years to bring it to Quest.
I'm excited to announce that the Rockstar Games classic Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is in development for Quest 2. This new version of what I think is one of the greatest games ever made will offer players an entirely new way to experience this iconic open world in virtual reality.
That's it, Mark. I'm moving to the metaverse.
All right, thanks, Deb. This is going to be amazing.
Oh my God, Deb, this is going to be amazing. You're going to be able to go into Grand Theft Auto and run people over and beat up mailmen. And I mean, somebody should supercut this. If you're a fan of the show, supercut absolutely Zuckerberg's excitement with this, with the horrible, disgusting, sociopathic stuff that you actually do in Grand Theft Auto. Does Zuckerberg realize that he is just telling everybody in the middle of a scandal of their influence over young people and what terrible stewards of society they are, that they now want to take our children and everybody else and throw them into the dystopian world of crime and violence that is Grand Theft Auto? Really? Is anybody thinking in Facebook's communication group? I mean, you guys are so incompetent, or you're trolling us. If it's the latter, kudos to you. Because who reviewed the deck and said, I have a great idea, while we're being investigated for young women having body issues and getting anorexia and bulimia and depression and anxiety from Instagram? I have a great idea to christen our new product. Let's get young men to be influenced by living in a virtual world version of Grand Theft Auto where you murder and beat people and run them over with stolen cars. Are you people insane? The answer is they're not insane. They are capitalists, and they are just absolutely interested in the stock price going up and to the right. They do not care about society. They are liars. They care about making money. And let's face it, Grand Theft Auto, where you get to be in an immersive world and beat people up and murder them and drive over them, is going to be the dystopian, insane Running Man future that will print money. That's why they're doing it. And somebody over there in comms needs to be fired for not sitting Zuck down and saying, are you fucking crazy? You literally want to tell people when we're launching this new vision that Grand Theft Auto is a key piece of it, and you think this is the best idea? Would Tim Cook do this? Would Jeff Bezos do this? Would Steve Jobs do this? No. They would literally say, we're trying to make people think this is good for society. Grand Theft Auto is a parent's nightmare. Why on earth would we feature that? And you notice they didn't show any highlights from GTA because it would have been somebody like literally beating up a postman or running over, a baby carriage. Oh my Lord. You can't make this stuff up. Zuck also talked about open standards in the metaverse, which is even more funny to me because he has been on a jihad for decades to reverse all open standards and to steal and close off and destroy open source and open standards by forcing people to use his login and by not supporting open standards. Here's 51 seconds of an absolutely delusional and unself-aware, clueless Zuckerberg explaining open standards to us, the industry that was built on open standards, who absolutely hates and despises what Zuckerberg has done to open standards. Play the 51 seconds.
Teleporting around the metaverse is going to be like clicking a link on the internet. It's an open standard. In order to unlock the potential of the metaverse, there needs to be interoperability. And that goes beyond just taking your avatar and digital items across different apps and experiences, which we are already building an API to support. You want to know that when you buy something or create something, that your items will be useful in a lot of contexts, and you're not going to be locked into one world or platform. You want to know that you own your items, not a platform.
The metaverse isn't something we're building so much as it's something we're building for.
Across the industry, we need to bring that same imagination and commitment to building for interoperability, openness, safety, and privacy as we do for all the other product aspects of the metaverse. These have to be fundamental building blocks.
Oh my God. It's so ridiculous. This is like the guy who just robbed your house telling you, you don't need to lock your door. Are you people crazy? You literally stole everybody's data. You then let Cambridge Analytica and everybody else on the inside use that data. You pulled the rug out from under people who bought pages and spent money building their follower count, and then you deprecated their follower count. You made people use your own cryptocurrencies. You deprecate, your own e-coins back in the day, mana in games. And then you had an app developer program, which you shut off and screwed all these app developers. Do you think we don't remember what you did to app developers for the first 5 years with the Facebook platform? Can somebody please pull up the videos of Zuckerberg saying this exact thing and then pull up the headlines after that point and do a supercut of all the developers he destroyed, Zynga and everybody else who he put the screws to and screwed? If you partner with Zuckerberg, you will get screwed. Do not believe him. And if he was absolutely committed to this, why isn't he doing it in Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp right now? Why are those not open source? Why is your data not portable? Why are the login systems not standard? He's a liar. Basically, he's a liar. And he is now trying to convince us that this time it will be different. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. It's that simple. He has screwed over every partner he has worked with, and even the people he bought companies from and he made billionaires hate him. Instagram founders, WhatsApp founders, the list goes on and on. They all despise Zuckerberg. Can you imagine making people billionaires and making them tens of billions of dollars and they still hate you? There's a reason people don't trust Zuckerberg. It's because he has not earned trust. And then he's here telling us that this time it's going to be different and this time the metaverse is going to be open. Sorry. You can say you had some big giant come to Jesus moment about open standards. And now he's trying to flip the script and kind of say Apple is the closed system. This is all like a high level leveling game of poker that Zuckerberg's just not good at. We all see what you're doing, Zuckerberg. You're trying to put these digs into Apple for charging a whole bunch because they blocked you from tracking users and you can't make as much money with app installs. We see it from a mile away. If the metaverse is going to be the next platform, it's essential that Facebook not control it. If you're a developer, you should not support this. If you're a user, you should not support this. If you're an entrepreneur, you should not work for his platform. Devs should only support open standards in this regard. And I think this is the area where cryptocurrency, distributed systems, and DAOs and other non-controlled open source communities with financial incentives built into them can really shine. If this is in fact the future, which is a big question, we can't let Zuck win. We need to hashtag boycott Meta at all costs. And if you're a developer, why would you work to make Zuckerberg richer when you could work on the open source projects, own the cryptocurrencies, own the real estate, own the NFTs, if you do believe this is going to happen, and that's not guaranteed? Why would you go work and be a peasant to Zuckerberg's $50 billion when you could go make $10 million being an open source developer and just picking which currencies and real estate you want to buy in the metaverse? It's a terrible decision for any developer to go to work for Zuckerberg as opposed to an open metaverse project. And they have the audacity to put Facebook's global affairs head, Nick Clegg, in these discussions. And him coming on and telling us that this time it's going to be different after what they're going with the Facebook papers and how poorly they've acted and how many fines they've gotten just shows that Nick Clegg has no soul and there's a giant money grab for him. He is just making tens of millions of dollars in all of this, I'm sure. I'm guessing, but I would be surprised if he makes less than $25 to $50 million working, which is a lot for a PR communications person. Really, like a PR communications person, no offense, making 25 or 50 million bucks. I'm going to guess that's the minimum he makes in a decade or two there. He sold his soul to then try to get Zuckerberg polished up so we fall for it again. Do not fall for it. It's the key. The key here is developers do not work at Meta and do not go to work for this dystopian vision where this maniac gets to control the future, if we in fact believe this is the future. So here's a 65 second clip of Zuckerberg realizing that he is going to get sued all over again and nobody trusts him. So he's trying to do this preemptive thing. Like, I'm sorry, this time will be different. This is like listening to like BP oil after they just poured oil all over through the Gulf and that like, we should let them drill oil again. No. Here's 65 seconds. I'll see you on the other side.
Privacy and safety need to be built into the metaverse from day one. You'll get to decide when you want to be with other people, when you want to block someone from appearing in your space, or when you want to take a break and teleport to a private bubble to be alone.
With all big technological advances, there are inevitably going to be all sorts of challenges and uncertainties. And I know you've talked about this a bit already, but people want to know how we're going to do all this in a responsible way, and especially that we play our part in helping to keep people safe and protect their privacy online.
Yeah, that's right. This is incredibly important.
The way I look at it is that in the past, the speed that new technologies emerged sometimes left policymakers and regulators playing catch-up. So on the one hand, companies get accused of charging ahead too quickly, and on the other, tech people feel that progress can't afford to wait for the slower pace of regulation. And I really think that it doesn't have to be the case this time round, because we have years until the metaverse we envision is fully realized. So this is the start of the journey, not the end.
I mean, are these people, do they think we're stupid? You literally have them saying that we care about privacy, and they've done nothing to protect people's privacy over the last couple of decades. And here they are telling us this time it will be different. This is like watching a serial killer and their defense attorney telling us, like, let this guy out of jail. He won't murder and eat another 3 people. No, whatever happened before with the serial killing, not relevant. He's not a serial killer anymore. I'm telling you, this time we're going to take care of your privacy. You're going to be in control this time. Really?
Privacy.
Privacy.
Take care of your privacy.
You're going to take care of our privacy. You can have the most refined English accent, Clegg, but you are so loathsome and horrible for selling your soul so that this person can acquire more power over the next giant platform of computing. We are not falling for it. If you're a developer, do not sell your company to Zuckerberg. Oculus never should have sold to them. That gave them a big head start, and nobody should join this, use it, and build for it. And really, it's up to the developers to pick other platforms to develop for and to build this as open source so that the metaverse, if it does happen, looks more like the open web and the internet. Do we want the open web and internet, which Facebook tried to compromise and build walled gardens? Do we want to fight that when we see him doing it again, or do we want to let him run amok? That is the key issue here. I implore you, developers, do not build or participate or go to work for Meta, Facebook, whatever they want to call it. They're working on some new hardware. They have a luxury AR headset called Cambria. This is when you know they're serious. When they're putting $10 billion into this, they're spending Apple and Microsoft hardware level dollars on this. They are going for it, which means the open source community and the other platforms have to go for it as well. We cannot let them win this. Check out this 50-second clip on their new headset.
Cambria will be a completely new, advanced, and high-end product, and it'll be at the higher end of the price spectrum, too.
Your avatar will be able to make natural eye contact and reflect your facial expressions in real time.
What about unlocking more mixed reality experiences? I mean, imagine working at your virtual desk with multiple screens while seeing your real desk so clearly that you can pick up a pen and write notes without taking your headset off. Or, you're doing a workout with a virtual instructor in your living room.
We'll be taking this to the next level with high resolution, colored, mixed reality pass-through. We essentially combine an array of sensors with reconstruction algorithms to represent your physical world in the headset with a sense of depth and perspective. Now, we're still a ways away from exactly matching what our eyes see in the physical world.
Yeah, okay. If you want, So wait, great. New headsets, mixed reality. You get the idea that this is, where they're going is exactly what Microsoft showed, I think, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago with HoloLens. Like they're literally just stealing the HoloLens presentation of multiple desktops, etc. He also talked about this project Nazare, which is Facebook's version of AR glasses. 42-second clip. See on the side.
I want to show you an experience that we've been working on for Project Nazare, which is the codename for our first full augmented reality glasses. Here, you'll see you're chatting with friends on WhatsApp and planning a game night. You can select a game, and then, as you walk over to your kitchen, you can easily just put your game onto the table and you're off. And that's the kind of experience that augmented reality will unlock. There's a lot of technical work to get this form factor and experience right. We have to fit hologram displays, projectors, batteries, radios, custom silicon chips, cameras, speakers, sensors to map the world around you, and more into glasses that are about 5 millimeters thick. So we still have a ways to go with Nazare, but we are making good progress.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of hand movement in that clip is just a huge tell that he wants to control us. I mean, that is some serious stage hypnotist stuff. I don't know what Nazare stands for. Somebody look it up for me. But yeah, this is spectacles. This is what Apple is actually working on. Apple is going to skip VR and go right to this. That's why you see AR Kit and all their AR games. They believe AR is the winner, so they're going straight to AR. They're not going to stop. I guess Nazare is Portuguese for Nazareth, which would be where Jesus was born. Is that, do I have my religion correct? So are they saying that they're going to be the place where Jesus is born? Is that what we're going for here? Is that Zuck's project naming strategy? So Apple will get there first. I hope. We can only hope that they get there. And that's where this is going to get very difficult. What the big tech companies have learned is own the hardware and own the whole experience. So if you're, when Amazon was making the bookstore, they didn't just sell digital books. They wanted to have the Kindle. Apple makes the phone and the App Store. Google realized they needed to make products like phones. And then you had Microsoft start to make Surface, and then they did Xbox. It's not enough in today's world to not control the whole stack. It doesn't work as well. So when you see somebody trying to build the whole stack, that means open source is going to have a problem. What we really need is an open source standard for building AR glasses and VR glasses. And that would be an open source hardware project where if anybody could build these things to an open source operating system, that would be a huge win. If the open source development community can work on that, I would actually invest in a company that was working on the open source hardware spec and the operating system for these. I wonder if that exists already for AR or VR. If it does and those standards exist, I would love to hear about it. And if somebody wants to create the WordPress.com of the WordPress.org, we have an open source project, but a commercial project sitting next to it to help expedite it. I'm into that. But I hope that it happens as a crypto project where people just fund it with coins and you don't need venture capitalists and investors like me. So they're going to they also mentioned they're going to have a workaround between business accounts and AR accounts because they learned from their Slack, stealing Slack, another theft by Zuckerberg. When they stole Slack, they also created like a Facebook for business or something, but you had to use your same handle, which Zuckerberg has this very weird dystopian view that there's no difference between your private life and your work life because he has no life. The rest of us might want to separate those things out a bit. So he is giving into that. We'll skip that tweet because we'll skip that video because it's not that important. Stock's up a bit today. Just to, give some quick reactions. Toby from Shopify thought it was hugely inspiring. I'll take the opposite side of that. Seriously, this is one of the most profound and approachable articulations of how the metaverse might possibly come together. You have to watch it. Yes, I do think it's convincing. I think he took together everybody else's innovations and made a just spectacular presentation, Toby. But he's a thief who stole all of this, and he's the last person I think you would agree that we want in charge of this. You have to wonder here, why didn't they have Clegg and Zuck in GTA playing Grand Theft Auto, and they could be like, "Hey, Clegg, hand me that AK-47. Can you kill that family over there? Great, yeah. Can you steal that Cadillac and let me drive over that, bunch of school kids? Just own it, guys. If you're gonna go there, You should totally do it. I mean, this is a Black Mirror episode. What we're watch today feels like a Black Mirror episode to me. Don't be fooled by the glossiness of it. Don't be fooled by Zuckerberg's vision that he stole and, basically stole from dozens of people and is now taking credit for. And, you judge people by what they've done. And based on what he's done, nobody should trust him. He should have no partners involved in this. And if you are part of creating the future, just ask yourself, do you want to give him more power over society? Or do you want society to have more power over people like him? Just ask yourself that if you're a developer, if you're an entrepreneur. And it's a really serious question I'm asking. Would you like to take your work product? Would you like to take your creativity and have it create more power for Facebook and specifically Zuckerberg? Or would you like to take your creativity, your skills, and would you like to see that power be put in the hands of individuals and the open source community, and which is a brighter future for humanity? Just please take a moment and think about that if you're a developer. If you get that offer from Facebook and they offer you the extra $50, $100, $200,000 in RSUs, just stop for a second and think about playing the long game. Because every line of code you write for Zuckerberg, every day you give him more power, and every day you participate in his operating system and his platforms, is more power accruing to him and less power accruing to the people. And then you, as a creator, as an entrepreneur, to make the quick buck, are putting him in charge of the future of the internet. How has he done so far as a steward of power? Objectively, how has he done? Has he been a net positive for society? I think we can all agree that this is a company that has not been a net positive for society, and the way they operate is abhorrent, and that's why they've received the largest fines. I'm not saying startups have to be perfect, but they are so far from perfect, and they have done such a poor job that they should not be given one more ounce of power or control over the future. And it really comes down to every line of code and every startup that's created. And every startup and line of code that goes towards the open source community and that goes towards a decentralized version of the metaverse is going to be better for society than that person having any more control than he already has. All right, let's go on to my interview. What am I going on to after this?
Great. Gabriel Weinberg, DuckDuckGo.
3-2. And speaking of open source and a better future, here is my interview with Gabriel Weinberg of DuckDuckGo, which actually cares about your privacy.
And intro is up top, Jason, real quick.
I don't know how that was. I might have ranted a little too much. If it gets a little repetitive, cut some stuff out. Rate my rant and coverage of that on a scale of 1 to losing my mind. Did I make any good points? Nobody, gang? All right, 3-2. Okay, everybody, we've got an amazing guest in the second half of today's show. It is Gabriel Weinberg. He has joined us again 10 years after his first appearance on This Week in Startups. That's right, we're in year 11. He is running the search engine DuckDuckGo and the browser, and he cares about user privacy more than almost anybody in our industry. And he has figured out how to build a competitive search engine to Google, a competitive browser to Chrome, and how to protect consumers' privacy. And I talked to him about partnering with Apple and if he would consider selling to Apple and why Apple hasn't bought his search engine and kicked Google out. But first, we're going to talk about the absolutely insane presentation that Mark Zuckerberg did, rebranding Facebook into Meta, and how they want to take over the next platform for humanity, which most people believe will be AR and VR, augmented reality, virtual reality, and the metaverse. And I have some strong feelings on it, as you might suspect. Stick with us.
All right, you got to go.
It really doesn't have to do with attendees. I mean, I have enough money. He's got enough money. It really is about, do you want this person to have any more power?
A lot of people taking exception with your GTA hate.
No, I mean, GTA is fine if you're 18 and above. It's the fact that Facebook, which is going through many issues with young people and the horrible influence they're having on them and basically ignoring it in their own studies and research. Do you want your 12-year-old boy? Should 12-year-old boys be on a metaverse actually in 3D murdering people, maybe that's something for 18 and above. Do we think? Do we think Zuckerberg's going to make the right decision here? All right. Thank you, Noties. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. I might do a special. I'm not really clear on Jacob's position. Stop trolling me, people.